Okay, it's 6:30. Are we ready?
We're ready.
You can do the pledge. Not yet. I'll tell you. I just want to make sure you were good for it before I said your name and made you do it in front of everybody. Okay. All right. I'd like to. It's recording. Yes. I'd like to call to order the Weathersfield School Board meeting for February 11th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Ms. Wilson.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda? I noticed that I didn't get, we were going to talk a little bit about plans for the Four Winds and for the so if you can maybe just include that in what you're talking about, just sort of briefly what's happening with those.
Okay. Yeah. And then we don't have a student presentation of learning tonight since we have a budget.
Okay.
And our data report to it. And then our data report is actually not student presentation of learning. It's in a sense it is, but students aren't presenting. So our instructional coach interventions are presenting.
Okay.
And Anne Marie, I'm here for a request for the Hicks Nichols, but we had a community member reach out to joining the Hicks Nichols committee, so I'd like the board if you would appoint this person.
Sure, you can include that too. Okay. Hicks Nichols request and appointment.
If I can just ask a question about standardized testing and timing of it, I'm not sure where that would fit in, but I'd like to do that.
I can add that into my report. I can talk about it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right. We'll start with the approval of the minutes from January 13th and January 15th. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve both.
Okay, Mark made a motion to approve both. Do we have any corrections or comments? Okay, they look good. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. That's the meeting minutes from the 13th and the 15th. Up next, we have public participation. None? Okay, no student presentation of learning? Nobody online either? So I guess we will head right into the administrative report.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and just highlight a couple of the things that are happening going on in school right now. So first thing that we did is last Friday, we had a professional development day where students got out at 12 o'clock. And then we were able to look at the, first off, we did BTCAP procedures as far as for administering the BTCAP, the standardized tests. So all staff members went through that process. We also looked at our STAR data, and the teachers were able to go through the data, look at trends between grade level spans, K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8. And then with those spans, then they were able to create their new wigs for their classrooms. So they all did that. And then the last part of it was our safety training with our Weathersfield Police Department. So we had 3 members of our Weathersfield PD here, and they were able to go over what things could happen or what things we would do if, unfortunately, we ever had an active shooter or any kind of emergency on campus and how we would go through those procedures. So it was very helpful. The staff was very much in tune to it. It was about an hour and 15 minutes. We never know exactly, those situations like that are unpredictable, but it was very helpful to have what procedures are currently the best procedures for safety for all. So it was nice to have a PD, our police department. So thank you to Chief Generals and his crew, his police officers for being here. We also have, going on this week, we have lunch with a loved one. So a couple years ago, we did decide instead of just having one day to make it more accessible for all families. If they have a certain day that they need to be able to come, if they have Mondays off, so instead of having this scheduled day, they can pick their day that they get to come. Some of them pick it on days off, some pick it on based on the meal that's being served. We threw a little bit of a curveball today because they had one thing, they had American chop suey planned for today, but because it was so cold, they did tomato soup and buttered noodles. So you never know for sure what you're going to get, but everything is homemade from our kitchen. So there are some families that are enjoying lunch with a loved one. So if you have that opportunity and haven't done it yet, we're serving lunch Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Stop on by and have lunch with a loved one or just whoever's here. So that's been a great tradition. Our Weathersfield town plan, we did share that out with you. So unless there was any things that anybody wanted to add, we are ready to submit that to the zoning board. So thank you, BJSD, for working on that and doing such a great job. We went through the final details and got that done. So I appreciate your hard work on that, BJ. Thank you. And then we did have the K-5 family dance that our PTO puts on. They do it on Saturday. They did it on this past Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. It was a great turnout. We had about 100 people or so here, which was amazing. They did it this year in the AP room because the smaller venue made it a little bit cozier and nicer. Plus that way they could have food and beverages in there because we don't want any food or beverages on the gym floor since we have that new gym floor. But it was a great turnout and kids were talking about it on Monday and how much fun they had with the family dance. So we appreciate PTO doing that and being part of that for us. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my wonderful interventionists / coaches, Christina Hughes and Kristen Hubner, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about our data dive with our STAR scores and our DIBBLES and let you know how our students did and how they're progressing from fall to winter. Yeah, just click on there and then click on the data. I like the icons there. Uh-oh. Sorry, I didn't give Christine access. Didn't plan that one out when you were doing it. I think if Kristen or Christina can give access real quick for Christine. Or if you guys want to share too. Kristen, you want to share or do you just give access to Christine?
I think I just gave access to her.
I'm sorry, I didn't think about that one. Top rated secret data, so we want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, because it's so cold in here. Shh.
Still loading. Okay, I think we're good.
All right. So if you want to go to the next slide. When we came to present to you in the fall, we had told you that we had to revise our school-wide WIG because we met the WIG in the fall. So our new WIG is that we are trying to get our math proficiency to be 55% and our reading proficiency to be 64% by June. But first, we're going to talk to you about DIBBLES. DIBBLES stands for Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills. And that is the assessment that we have chosen as a supervisory union to use for the Act 139 in the state of Vermont, which is a literacy act. So if you want to go to the next slide, Christine. We gave DIBBLES, the DIBBLES assessment, to our kindergartners only in the winter. We did not do DIBBLES in the fall. So we don't have any growth to show you for our kindergartners, but we will at the end of the year. You can look at this slide and just see our kindergartners are doing pretty well. You can go to the next one. Our first graders in the fall compared to now, you kind of see a little bit of a dip in our scores, and a lot of that is because the rigor of first grade gets harder in the winter. We also have just a lot of factors with snow days and things like that. We gave this right after we came back from break, but we fully expect to see those scores better in the spring. Second grade had a pretty great growth. You can see the red shrunk a lot, and we're really impressed with our second grade and how our teachers are working with the kids to make sure that they're all getting what they need. And our third graders are doing phenomenal. The blue is the highest level in DIBBLES, which is different than STAR. In STAR, the green is the highest, but for DIBELS, blue is the highest. So we have a lot of our third graders scoring in that above average, no risk category, which is really wonderful. So that's our DIBELS. So now we're going to talk about the reading, and I think we're going to, our school-wide reading. So overall, in the fall, we were right about 60%. And now with our winter scores, we're just above 62%. So if you remember from the fall, only kindergarten and first grade take the early literacy test. They do not take the reading test. And we do not give the early literacy test. So see for our fall results, that's just a representation of first grade with our results being our kindergarten and our first grade. So this is a snapshot of second grade through eighth grade. They take the reading test, and you can kind of see we've got some pretty significant growth in sixth and seventh grade. And I do just want to say that we are working with Renaissance, and we are also working with IT here in the SU. Our students who take algebra in Windsor, for whatever reason, their scores are being reported with Windsor data instead of Weathersfield data. So we are working on that, but our eighth grade scores on this slide are not valid and not indicative of our eighth graders. And our algebra students typically score in the blue and the green. So those scores will be higher once we figure this out.
This 25% of our students in eighth grade are taking algebra.
All right, it's time for the math scores. All right, so in the fall, we were right about 50%, and we've actually made some great growth to about 54%, which I think is a really good job of the teachers working hard and the students working hard on math. So it was really nice to see. All right, and then this is the breakdown of the different classes. And we, again, have some different areas of some really great growth. And then again, that eighth grade score, definitely being our algebra students, would definitely be different with that in mind. I can say, looking at some of this, we've had some teachers that were really great and reached out and started looking at the data right away. And I think of the couple of grades, we've noticed that it might be a curriculum pacing issue a little bit, just because they haven't really gotten into a lot of the nitty gritty that's on the STAR test, especially fractions in fourth grade. And that was what a lot of the questions were. And so we've done a lot of digging to kind of pinpoint where some issues are. A lot of teachers have also been working on like doing some spiral review, or really being intense and purposeful with their math stations or math menu times, which I think has really helped contribute to the scores.
So we broke the STAR data into different demographics. This first slide shows you the difference between the males and the females here at Weathersfield in STAR reading. And you can go to the next one.
All right, and then it is very interesting that it's a little bit different, kind of lopsided than the reading, but this is the breakdown for the winter, for the fall, for the females and the males for math. Mm-hmm. You can go to the next one.
So we also looked at the comparison of students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch and students who are not eligible. And this is kind of a tricky one because we are not, because of confidentiality, we are not supposed to know subset, but here's the data.
Kristen, can you just repeat that last thing? You were cutting out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. So I was just saying that because of confidentiality, we are not allowed to know the students in this category of free and reduced lunch eligibility. So it's very difficult to target students in this category. When we think about looking at data, you know, our goal is to make the data better, to get in there and fill the holes. But we can't do that necessarily with these students because we do not know who they are.
Thank you.
Okay, and then this is the STAR math. So the first one is the free and reduced. And then the second one is the not eligible for a free and reduced lunch. I think some of the other part too with it is we don't necessarily have that same population. The free lunch still, it kind of makes it a little tricky because not everybody fills out the paperwork and stuff because they don't need to at this point. So sometimes I think we may not have all the correct numbers in there, I guess you could say. But
so we have to apologize for this slide on behalf of Renaissance. We're also working with Renaissance on this. We were able to run the data for students who are on an IEP, but we were unable to run data for students not on an IEP. And I've been back and forth with Renaissance for about a week now, and they keep moving me up to a higher level. So hopefully they're going to figure this out by the spring so we can show you a comparison. But at least we have the data for the students who are currently on an IEP in the school. You can go to the next one.
And then that's the same thing again. We've got the students on an IEP for math, and then the oops on the other side that we're still working on.
So one of the things that the board had asked for was to see growth over time. So we've created those charts to show you the longitudinal data. So this is our current first grade. They take the early literacy, so you can see all the way on the left. That was when they were kindergartners in the winter, and then kindergartners in the spring. And then you can see their fall scores and their winter scores. And you know, there's different factors that play into that. The kindergarten expectations, the kindergarten standards are a lot different than the first grade standards. There's maybe more structured time in first grade than there is in kindergarten, and some kids don't react as well to that as others. So we're still hoping to see those scores grow. This is our current second grade. There's no math data for our current first grade because they don't take a math test in kindergarten. So our current second grade, all the way on the left, you can see their early literacy scores, and you can see they went from high red to low red, and then you can see where they are currently in second grade. We're currently at 5% in the red, which is that significantly below the standard. So they've made some really great growth.
Okay, and this is the current second grade, and you can see their reds were pretty stable, but they definitely now in the winter time are going down, and the blue is definitely increasing as well. So they're improving over time.
Our current third graders, you can see once again, they're making really good growth. And that's, we saw that in the dibbles as well. So it's I would say very valid.
Okay. And this is the current third grade. Their red kind of still stay the same, but really a lot of their blue really increased and things there. So we're seeing some really good growth with third grade as well.
So our current fourth grade, when you look at the data there, more than half of our fourth graders did not score proficient on the STAR test in the winter. And, you know, we've seen this before with some classes, they don't do well in the winter time. We've also been able to talk with the fourth grade teachers and come up with plans. The fourth grade teachers are wonderful about wanting to make this better for their kids. And we've got plans in place to hopefully see a growth in the spring.
I think, Kristen, they missed the fourth grade reading slide when it was mixed in with the math slide too. So I think they skipped to that, but that's okay. So math, there was growth too, but now it's back to the fifth grade reading for you.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so with fifth grade, we've got some good growth. We've got some work to do.
We can go over there. There we go. And then the fifth grade definitely made some good growth in their math skills. Even if you just look at this year from the fall to the winter, they've made some great growth.
Our sixth grade continues to do well, and we're proud of them.
And they continue to hold strong, definitely with their math.
Some kids grow through the world trying to get through the
7th grade is also doing well. They have no students that are scoring in the red, which is wonderful.
In the 7th grade, for their math skills, are still making that progress, getting better with their red scores and going on up.
And then once again, just a reminder with our 8th graders, we are missing our algebra students in both the fall data and the winter data. We didn't catch it until it was too late. So hopefully we will have all of that data complete for the spring.
And the same thing is for the math, because I definitely know there will be a green score in there as well. So they're definitely, the algebra students will make an impact on those charts.
And we just want to show you how Weathersfield is doing compared to the SU. So on the left, you can see our Weathersfield score of 62.35% proficient. And across the SU, the proficiency is 57%.
And in the math, we were 54%, and the SU is about 42%. We're definitely doing a good job here at Weathersfield.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Do you have any questions about the data that you guys just saw? We can definitely, we'll make sure that's correct as far as the algebra students, because I think my gut is telling me that we'll get a bump, both in math and reading, for those scores as well. And you know, it's great to see where our kids are going, and we have work to do still, but it's also the middle of the year, so we still have almost half the year. We got about another 77 days, something like that, left of schooling, so we're just a little bit of the halfway point, so we'll continue to grow with those students as well. Awesome.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is there any funding tied to any of that data that we just saw? As far as addressing any problems?
Well, we have title funds that we get from, so we have our 5-6 interventionists right now, so we do have title funds that are from used to help students that are in the need.
Okay.
And so we do get some money for that teacher, for that interventionist.
Okay.
Probably some IBFD, some special ed funds, just generally get used to support all students. So.
Okay. I'm just looking at where the data is, when it's compiled, how it lines up with what assessments and what the reimbursement, if there's any that ties in.
And why I still have Kristen on there for sure, and I'll make sure. And so you were asking about standardized testing. So our schedule does start on March the 10th. So it is earlier this year for the VT cap. And part of the thinking with that, because we have science in 5th and 8th grade, and then grades 3 through 8 will take language arts and in math. And so we're trying to do that because the window for the state starts then, and it goes through our spring break. And so we don't want students to be taking the tests during spring, you know, having that break, taking a break from the test. So we had to make the decision to do it earlier, because students, once they start the test, have to finish it within 5 days as well.
Okay, so it's a tight window.
It's a tight window, and we tried to make the best of it. So we're starting off with science, with just 5th and 8th grade, then going to reading, language arts, and then finally into math.
Okay, that seems really early in the year. So I just was curious if there's an effect to.
Sure.
Yeah, they definitely will.
Because,
Content won't be covered.
Yep.
Some of the content on the test won't be covered yet, right?
Well, that's just it. I mean, I'm looking at it, I'm going, you're almost 30% of the total teaching time back into the schedule, so.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mark, we don't set those dates.
You don't set those dates, okay?
We are given a window.
All right,
So,
well, that answers my question, thank you.
So that's our window, and we have to stick to it.
Okay,
it's the same window across the state, so everybody's.
oh, so
Everybody has to do it. Just
That's
depends
level
though.
playing field
Yeah,
then,
it's when the spring breaks are, so because some people take the spring breaks at different times. So
Right.
it could change that, but yeah.
so it's not gonna be a perception problem with us versus other schools in the state, because we're all in the same window.
All the same.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you again, Kristen and Sophia.
Yeah.
All right. Then we have Jim Taft here. Dun, 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 Jim Taft. So he's gonna talk to us a little bit about facilities report and.
How are you?
Hello.
Thank you for inviting me to talk about the Weathersfield maintenance. I'd like to take a minute and try to explain it to you. Our belief that every school is, we service the staff and the students during the day. Once dismissal comes, the goal is that the place is as clean as it can be, safe, secured, and ready to open the next day. Our main tool behind that is what we have called the buildings and grounds file. So if a teacher needs, this time of year, it needs tissues, they put in buildings repair that they need tissues. Somebody gets them. The reason why we do that is we never say no to anybody, but it helps with inventory costs and seasonal things. Repairs can be anything from, you notice a leaky water faucet, to your doors not working right, to a tile's loose, simple everyday repairs. So that goes into the maintenance part of it. I take that, when they give it to me, I take that and I prioritize how emergency it is. Do I need to get somebody right there? Does the lead person that we have here during the day, can he and should he be able to handle that? Or do I and somebody else have to come help him? So we start there and build our list. On top of that list, the thing that I'm proud of, I hope you guys will be too, that what we do for you, which I work for you, what we do for you is we give you 24-hour monitoring of your business 7 days a week. I mean, we got that through a grant, basically through the COVID grant, where on my phone, I can tell you basically what the temperature is in every room in this building. This place here, I've never seen anything like it. Like about 3 times a month, power will go out. If power goes out, somebody's gotta be here to restart everything. We gotta make sure the pump house is good and is running, the wood chip boiler, because we wanna always burn wood chips. We gotta make sure that's up and running. Sometimes that will take me or another guy 10 minutes. Sometimes you can be here hours to get stuff running. We monitor the fire system, heating system, the pump room, and like I said, power outages. To give you a basic understanding, I guess the best example I could give you of monitoring the fire system, BJ was here then. Our teacher left the kiln on, and it snapped the sprinkler. I got it just as soon as it happened, hopped in my truck and got here with another maintenance guy, and thank God we had parts for it. We fixed it before it flooded the whole school. It just flooded outside here like 3 inches of water. So that's basically like what I'm good for. The heating system this time of year, you guys always have take great pride in the wood chip. Like I spoke before, that needs to be cleaned out daily. Like it doesn't take a break. You're a wood chip farmer. You're coming in Sunday and cleaning out the wood chip boiler. We're very lucky on that wood chip boiler, and I'm very proud of that because over the last 8 years, we've spent very little money on that. And when they bought it from Weathersfield, there's like one guy, and I lucked out and met him, that does all of North America. So the only time that we've had a real problem here, I called him and he was in Arkansas or something. But he walked us through, so we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good with that. And then when you get to bigger things, I just like to work, and I believe that our job is to fix everything and make this place better without people realizing that we did it. For instance, like that wall, we enjoyed building that wall. It's a great thing for the school, but I definitely don't need a pat on the back for us building a wall. So, I guess some of the other examples I could give you is, like when I first started here, they're having a problem with overheating on the second floor. Brought in Efficiency Vermont, who we worked with. We came up with the idea that we try to insulate the second floor. So the only thing Weathersfield had to buy was the roll of insulation, and we crazily insulated the second floor. The COVID grant, we lucked out here during COVID, which is great. Now moving forward, like I said, they helped us out with the graphics, made sure our controls were good. But the big thing during COVID that where we lucked out on that is it's how many air exchanges you can have in your building an hour. You know, so we're up to now, like we lead the state. We can have 8 to 10 air changes an hour and continue our footprint, which is great. The other thing that we have that you wouldn't think of, but like during flu season, is that on a push of a button, I can have 90% max ventilation. So in other words, if it wasn't freezing outside, I can blow nothing but fresh air into this building for as long as we want. All I gotta do is program it, and for an hour in, an hour out. So hopefully that helps keeps it sterile. Lead water, when we went through the lead water testing, like we replaced the faucets, and then if the faucet didn't pass, we replaced the filters. So now everything's up and running and fast. I mean, Brian wanted the basketball goals and the sports gone from the other room. We got rid of that. Mounted the school sign, trimmed along the fence so they could put the new fence up. Found some new green product, because you have a student that is very allergic to poison ivy. Found some new green product. I came out here when nobody's here so we could spray that to reduce the growth of poison ivy and hopefully eliminate it altogether. The funnest job that I've done here is when the wood chip pen was contaminated. So in the snow, they forgot that they had tents during COVID and all that. And then last year, and so within the wood chip bin, there was miscellaneous metal that we had to take out of there in order to get it to run. So that was great. And then like the latest thing that we did, the other snow day that we had like 9 lights out in the gym. We were able to fix 7. The reason why we didn't fix 8 and 9 is because we didn't have the parts. The other question that I got from my boss was, do you guys have a licensed electrician? No. I feel we're pretty clever. Like I don't ever talk about electricity because there's guidelines that we work under. Like I don't make the laws, but I think it's crazy that we'd have to have somebody, a licensed electrician, come in and put ballast in, but sometimes that's the law. Plumbing's a little easier. We pretty much try to take care of everything plumbing that we can, that we have equipment for. So I guess that's what you pay me for. Any question?
I don't know if you would know this, but John Harrison asked me if what kind of lighting we currently use. Are we on fluorescent or is this LED?
We're trying to change everything to LED as we go.
Okay.
And what we do there, rolling into talking about money, is we have a great relationship with Efficiency Vermont, and I try to wait. We try to wait until because they always have incentives and grants.
Mm-hmm.
So when they have an incentive or grant, we get it, and then they'll take it. The great thing that I like is they do most of the paperwork.
What would you say our percentages of LED to regular fluorescent?
40.
40?
Yeah, I might be low, but we're not.
Not quite half yet.
No, we'd like to get to 80 within the next year and a half.
Okay.
So then, somebody gave me a paper with, I think it's 16 highlights about questions for money. So the thing that I got says last year, and the first item was $748 Eric Merchant, which was removing tile, replacing tile in that small room to the right over there. That was something that we couldn't do. Pump Tech, in case you guys don't know what Pump Tech is, we get our stormwater drains inspected every year, and they pass or fail depending on how much contaminant is in them. And also on top of that, we have a very elaborate sand filter system here, and I fought with the guy for 3 years because it's expensive. So I said, I'll crawl down there and shovel it out. But I mean, actually, I wasn't going to shovel 8 of them at 8 feet out. But last year, in order to get passed on that, we had to have all stormwater, and it was a rough year. We had to have all stormwater drains pumped out along with our sand filters. So that's where the $7,600 came from Pump Tech. It was for stormwater drains. The big one that hits pretty much 50% of the bills here is the 9400 to Control Tech for where it says hot water. That's our hot water heater. That's the big one. That's the big one downstairs that runs off over here, that runs off the wood chip boiler. And everybody looked at it and said it was no good, and so I got quotes and talked to everybody I knew, and, to replace that and everything that goes with it, the cheapest we got was like 104,000. So I looked at the tank itself, and, I actually brought a picture. I looked at the tank itself, and I talked and researched, and I figured that if we could get the coil clean, then we could rebuild it for a lot cheaper than that, save ourselves money. So that's what I decided to do. So the 94 on that is basically the reconstruction of it. There's a lot more moving forward, like disassembly, reassembly. The maintenance department, we came, transferred the coil into our truck. I built a container so that we could put it up, built a chain fall so that we could put it up. And part of the billing moving forward is the acid, because I sent Christine a picture this summer about it. I spent basically 3.5 weeks getting the rust out of it back to copper. It's not that interesting, but I actually have a picture of it if you'd like to see it.
So is that all that Control is managing in this building?
What's that?
Is that the only piece of equipment that Control Technologies is managing in this building?
No, we have
Okay,
no,
because it's a
there's
lot
seven.
larger of a,
No, that's just for that one bill.
okay,
If something breaks.
Okay.
If something breaks, they let us know, but no, the management of that, if it's something, we have, seven heat recovery units here.
Yeah.
So say one of the heat recovery units goes down, I'll go and try to fix it. If we can't fix it, under the contract that we're at, they preventive maintenance it. But that gives us a break on the rate if they have to come fix it, if we can't fix it. So that's how they make their money, that's it. But they don't actually control anything. They control on what we call.
right. My question would be in the discovery of some of the invoicing that's occurred over time
Right.
from that company. It came up in our budget discussion that it seems like it's a pretty large number for regular maintenance or repairs, whichever one of those are. And B, they're here a lot, fixing
Correct.
recovery units or something. So I think it came up because we're looking at efficient ways to reduce our budget, and
Absolutely.
B, what's wrong with the building? Why are they here so much? And what is wrong with these recovery units or whatever they're doing here? As one of your vendors, the expense for them really supersedes a lot of other things going on. So we're wanting to understand, what do they do here? And why are they being called so much if you're also getting called to come do repairs?
I repair, I try to repair everything that I can if we can get parts for it.
Yeah.
So to bluntly answer your question on number one is that within the school district, I think this is the best kept building on the outside, if you look cleanliness and all that. Boards prior to you weren't good on spending money on infrastructure. So for instance, we've got, perfect example, why is Control Technology coming on a pump? Just because we've rebuilt the pump as much as we can, and it's outdated. It's now 15 years old. Like, why? We've got the wood chip boiler down there, except for the stuff that we know. Metro Smith or nobody has been in here recently, to my knowledge, to PM that. I'm a firm believer of preventive maintenance and also performance decay. That's where we have to catch up. Performance decay is, you build a brand new house, you know it as well as I do. As soon as you walk through the threshold, the house it's gonna need something. If you keep pushing it off, eventually you can't. That's the best answer that I can give you.
I think that's what we're asking.
Right.
Is there systems in this building, say, for example, what you just spoke of, that do need, like, have they had maintenance to the max and now we just need a new one? I guess that's what we
No,
want
they
to
haven't
know.
had maintenance to the max, because part of the, like, 4,000 or whatever it is, I don't mean to be cavalier, but 4,000, I can't remember whatever it is, for the boiler there is the second boiler over here, it has to be regasketed. Like, there's a lot of that you can't expect that has been kicked down the road due to money of past administration, to be 100% honest.
So you're saying we're just kind of catching up now, like trying to,
I'm
we
saying
should
that,
eventually kind of get on top of this, so it'll be a more normal.
absolutely, I'm saying if everybody does due diligence of preventive maintenance, is exactly what it should prevent something. There's certain things that will still go wrong, but it should lower, we should be lowering every year, we should be lowering the actual repair cost. Something can go, for instance, yeah, that's the other part where you have to, Control Technology did it. They put in the, they didn't put in the condensers up top. I couldn't put them in or get the parts, 13.5. So either you put those condensers in and you have AC for the offices and up there, or you don't. There's no fix, there's things like that that are gonna go.
So more recently, when they're here, like every day, what have they been doing, like more recently? I guess that's one of the questions that we had was, we see
Well, a lot
their
of
vans
times
here a
when
lot,
they
like what have they been working on in particular? Can you
Well,
give
a lot of
examples?
times lately when they've been here, they've been doing belts and filters because we have a contract with them on that. Because by the time we did all the belts and filters, we'd have time for nothing else. So they come for that. And then there's PMs on them. For instance, one of the expenditures was, classroom 116 was two motors for the cabinet units. They come and preventive maintenance on that because we didn't have enough people at the time to do it all.
So what's included in this contract? Like, is this preventative maintenance part of our contract, or is this
Yes,
on top of? So does that price that Vincent is talking about, is that our contract plus the extras? That figure, that the large figure he's talking
so
about?
with every contract, they give you X number of extra hours. Well, that's one of the selling points for all the companies. So if we have them here for 40 hours, they might give us 45, so we got 5 free hours for them to do something. But besides that, if we call them, it's $80 an hour. If you call them and you have to have them fix a modine, they're gonna charge you $80 an hour. There's no way around that. But they're here for belts and filters and preventive maintenance on the equipment.
I think, alluding to what Sarah was saying, that we're looking at more of an overtime figure that seems to be large, and not just like this year, over the last few years. So we're concerned that they're just band-aiding things every time that they're here, and B, sorry to keep labeling, and B, if we need to, as a board, look at a major infrastructure repair in order to avoid these bills that come in every month from this company, like we should have that information here.
Correct.
So if there are things that while working with them, right? I mean, I've read some of the invoices, they're very long and drawn out. There's a ton of things that they're doing, more than coils, more than modines, more than mini splits, here. And if there's a systemic problem that we are seeing, with that company, we should look at whether the vendor is the right one. And B, you've got to come here, or Brian or whoever is getting the information. You need to come here and tell us so that we can fix this problem for the next 3 budgets that we're going to do. And we're not going to just look at these little things like this. There's probably a lot more that we don't know about yet either.
Correct.
So.
I agree. I hate meetings, but I love to come. Because you're exactly right. Because the more you prevent maintenance, the more it should come down, and it really should come down.
Yeah.
But if you have 3 pumps that have been limping along that are $15,000 a piece, eventually they're gonna go, and you should know that.
Right.
You should wanna know that.
Right.
And that should be part of a 5-year.
But
plan.
as Sarah said, having the truck here every day produces, expenses that are, we're at the top of our budget now, right, already, and it's halfway through the year, or close to it.
I think,
We're close.
I think some of that money, I'm just vaguely remembering what Larry told me, so,
Yeah. I don't have it.
was
floor.
Yep.
And
Right.
that will get
Right.
moved
Right.
from the capital reserve, so
Right.
it's
Right.
not as bad as it.
Right.
I don't think you're at the top.
Right.
That money will go back into that
Right.
account.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, so you're the one in charge of dispensing the information to us, like who reports back to you if there are problems, you know, like, hey, we need to call control again, or hey, we need to call them again. Who's making that decision?
Generally, if I hear about it, it's from the lead guy here, Brian.
Okay.
Brian will go.
Okay.
And I try to make it, I've tried to clean it up SU-wide where I'm making the decision on if they're doing something or not.
Right, right.
It's easy to say yes when you have to look at, I agree 100%, you have to look at the whole picture.
Right.
And moving forward. But I thought this year we were right on track except for 36 for the gym floor and.
Right.
That
Right,
has
that's what
to,
you were
that has to get
Yeah.
put back into the account.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't think we're at the top of expenditures.
In the spring, we should go through a walkthrough. My recommendation is that we walk through so you see exactly what you have for equipment.
We can have that arranged.
Yeah.
We can do that.
And then you can pull out your crystal ball and tell us what's gonna break when.
No, but there's
And,
stuff- It's a very good point because there is stuff that's limping along.
yeah. So I guess what we're saying is we welcome that input.
I love it.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, we just want to be made aware so we're not racking up, repair bills where, obviously I know your first goal is to just get it fixed, to keep the building running, and we appreciate that. But looking, going back a few years and then looking ahead a few years, we want to make good decisions about if something large does need to be replaced, then we need to look at that versus just keep repairing. I think that's what we're getting at.
Sounds good. Good.
Everybody good?
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Jim. Or spring walker.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Did you have more to present?
Just we have upcoming events, wanted to let you know, so tomorrow, because we were originally scheduled on Thursday to do our school spelling bee, but I do look at my crystal ball, and I see that we have inclement weather coming up on Thursday. And so we might not have school on Thursday. We don't want snow days over, but so we have our school spelling bee tomorrow, and we have judges coming for that. We also have our last Lego League of the year for that one. And then next week, of course, is winter break. Town meeting day is on Saturday, March 1st. Voting day, March 6th, Camp Read a Lot, which we are really excited about doing that. That is a K-5 literacy night that we're having here at school. And our leadership students are helping along with our PTO and then some of our staff members. So it should be a fun event. That's a Thursday. And then I anticipated a board meeting will be the 11th because it's the second Tuesday of the month. So that's our upcoming events. And then before we do the budget presentation, I'm going to go ahead and let Ms. Stilson present on Hicks Nichols. And then we can go back to regionalization before we go to the budget report. You guys are not going to do that.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm the chairperson for the Hicks Nichols Committee. And so I have an application here that the committee would like the board to approve. And BJ is one of the persons who's filled out the application, so she will correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it's BJ, West Weathersfield Fire Department Chief Josh Dolphin, and Scotty Volunteer Fire Department Chief Derek Kearney. And the best way I can describe it is like it's a bounce house, and it's about fire safety. And it would be stored between the three, it might be stored here, it might be at a Scotty Fire Station, West Weathersfield Fire Station. They bring it out for, the coin drop and any community event that might be happening here at school, like a car show or anything that's something like that that's happening. Eventually, not right off, but eventually they'd also would be doing it at other community events that might be happening in Windsor or Brownsville or Reading or something like that. They'd have some sort of a sheet and have people in charge of it and everything. And Laura Berry has bounce houses that she puts in her gym, you know, when we do our field day and things, and it's very similar to that. It's that heavy duty plastic vinyl. But anyway, so, they talk about the fire prevention education days, which they've done every year at Weathersfield for a long time. And they wanted something more hands-on where students could get involved. And so this is the particular thing that's a fun learning activity that they would be doing about, you know, proper fire safety for all of the students here at Weathersfield. So she had filled out the application in regards to criteria and everything else like that. And then they came, we talked about it at Hicks Nichols Committee, and then they came, the three of them came to another committee meeting so that we could ask them questions or concerns or anything like about storage and this, that, and the other thing, where it will be stored and so forth. So they would like $20,931, and the committee said yes to that. But as the proper procedure, we are coming to the board. The committee is to look for the board's approval. And there's plenty of money in the Hicks Nichols account to cover this.
Okay. What did you say the amount was?
$20,931.
Okay. And you also mentioned that you have someone new you want to.
We have a person named, his name is Josh Compo. He lives in Weathersfield. He had reached out to Amy Beth Main, who's also one of our members on the committee. And he's interested in joining the Hicks Nichols Committee. And so he would join as a community member.
And did we have another community member step down, or was this?
No, we can take more on.
Oh, okay. And what was his name again?
Josh Compo, C-O-M-P-O. So,
And is he's just a community member? Is he a parent?
no,
or-
he's
Yes.
Parent.
a parent too.
And firefighters.
He's got a young one then, but anyways.
Good to know. Okay,
So
does anyone
those
have
are
any
the two things.
questions for?
Who's gonna have the liability
Yeah,
insurance
that's
for
what I was
that?
thinking. That was going to be my question.
Liability insurance.
So I think it's whoever's using it, whatever department is using it at that time. So like if it's at the Scotty Fire Department that has something, they'll have it. If we are using it, we'll have it. It's the same coverage that at least, Laura Berry has on hers. And then if we go out and reach out to the community, they would sign a waiver that it would be their liability. Like it's Windsor, we'd only allow fire departments to use it, and it wouldn't be blocked to the public, birthday parties or anything.
Right.
Because it's a training tool, not just, it's more than a bounce house, it's a training tool. There's a component in it that do the training. So that's why we said to local volunteer fire departments or fire departments, so they could use it for that. And they would assume liability, we'd have a waiver form for them to sign, release liability from us.
It's paperwork, I call it.
So the bounce house itself is specific for fire prevention?
Yes.
Oh, neat. Okay, well, I didn't get that from that. I just thought it was like a
Yeah, fire-
regular, okay, so
No,
it's an actual fire
There's a
prevention,
slide
yeah.
on it, it's huge. There's a slide on the side, you go inside and tell you how to call 911, and you can just add different things to it.
That makes more sense. At first, I just thought it was like, when you said hands-on, I was like, okay, they're gonna bounce in a bounce house, but that makes sense. It's an interactive way for them to understand what they need to do in case of a fire.
Fire safety in
Okay.
the event of emergency while making it fun, and it'll be hands-on thing.
Makes more sense.
I don't want this to come across negative or anything, but, you know, we've had fire prevention day here for, you know, years and years, you know, and you bring a truck and everybody gets to see the truck and the firefighters and this, that, and the other thing. So this, I look myself personally, I look at this as something kind of new and adventurous for the
Yeah.
students to come,
I'm interested.
you know. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
I missed the vote because of our meeting on that, but my other question would be, is there like a manual that people are gonna have to setting it up and using it, and the safety things, and people are trained to operate this?
Yeah.
Blow it up and do that here?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's something written about that
Manual,
somewhere.
it comes in Josh off in the fire
Right.
chief over in West Weathersfield, so it's like a big duffel bag.
Yep.
And it's heavy duty vinyl stuff, so like mice
Yep.
would not be getting through it. Mice haven't done anything with Laura Berry stuff that's stored here for her field day that she
Yep.
does, and her other little events that she uses her bounce houses for.
So the fire departments themselves are gonna be the main users and also know how to properly use it, sounds like. Yes?
So between the three of them, so depending upon what's happening, so if it's
Right.
If they're gonna use it for the pod drop, then the item will be here.
But they would be executing that on the field. Yeah, I think that's what you were getting at, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Martez.
Can adults jump in too?
I don't know if there's a size or weight limit.
What do you think?
We'll send you after the kids that get stuck in it.
Okay.
So can I just elaborate on something?
Yeah, sure.
So we found that our service days when we have this fire prevention is, we were lacking. We tried to get different things coming in. Like one time we tried to get dart and we were all ready for dart and they canceled last minute because they had a call. Like I'm telling you, we were all outside.
We were so
Way
excited,
before.
so
And
excited.
they canceled last minute. We had a schoolhouse here once that the kids just loved. And it's so hard to book these things. You have to be a year in advance to get any kind of learning tool. So we thought we could bring it to us as in Weathersfield and then elaborate to the community about it. Too, once we get this, squared away, what's it like,
Sounds good. Okay.
So do we need a separate motion for that? Or we vote on that now or is that some other time?
Well, we could vote on it now. I mean, you can do what you want. If someone wants to make a motion to approve, the $20,931 for the fire prevention bounce house, we'll take a motion.
I'll move so. Can we add on the approval of Josh Campo?
I was gonna do them separate, but.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
So-
any comments or concerns? Okay, I'll do a vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous for the money
Thank
for
you.
the bounce house. And then I will take a motion to approve Josh Campo, joining the Hicks Nichols Committee as a community member. Okay, Sarah made that. Is there any discussion? No? All in favor, say aye. Aye. And that's also unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you again.
So much.
Sorry, I jumped ahead so that Ms. Stilson didn't have to say, but
Yeah.
regionalization.
Yeah. We went out of order.
So, yeah, this was really brief and rather informal. Several of us were meeting. We didn't have more than 2 members from any different board, so it wasn't really anything we needed to warn about. Again, it was very informal, just trying to look down the road as far as what budget constraints. We knew we're gonna be hitting Montpelier this upcoming year. So there were people from various different communities, business community, educators, administrators, people on select boards, just kind of looking down the road, looking at different strategies that might be palatable to the general public. And one of the things that was discussed was how do we establish the whole notion of any regionalized school in terms of consolidating. And during the few meetings we had, and they may be ongoing and moving on from here, I'm not really sure what the schedule is. But I think we're to the point now where the general strategy is just having determined appetite is that middle school and elementary school, people are not on board with having their kids go a long time on a bus to a centralized learning location. It is, however, a reality that we need our taxes, our property taxes to go down. And looking at what Woodstock has gone through, we're just not at a point in terms of funding throughout the whole state that we have tucked away these piles of money to replace all of these individual structures and entities as they run through their lifespan and they're no longer viable. Because we're seeing that like with Woodstock. I think the last estimate was $108 million. And at some point you have to replace that structure. And it's just not there. You can't, with the population of Vermont, can't spend $108 million on basically educating, just the facility for educating 400 students. It's just not there. So basically what we were brainstorming about was various different ways that we can go about this. Nothing was decided, nothing was negotiated. It was simply looking at various different out-of-the-box ideas for what properties can be donated, what is the radius, and then determining pockets that, or ways that we might determine pockets based on what infrastructure is going to need to be replaced. It's something radically different than what was recently proposed by the governor. We had no conversations about consolidating to 5 districts, anything like that. We just looked down the road and said, okay, what communities are their high schools running out of lifespan? Like in the next 5-10 years are gonna need to be replaced, and how can we look at when what we arrived at was basically a 45-minute commute for the longest commute for the student. And where can we look at, if we have to replace the structure, what's gonna be the most bang for the buck, and how many students and how many communities can you lump into that? And that's basically where we left off. And then there was a whole new grand plan handed down by the governor, and now it's up to the legislature to start dealing with those different suggestions and come up with their own plan and altering that plan in a way that works for all the voters. So just in case word got out that people were talking, nobody is negotiating any consolidation of schools or districts or anything like that. We're just kind of brainstorming and figuring out different ways that we can go about this. But the general consensus of the people that I was meeting with was simply that the appetite is not there for middle school or elementary school consolidation.
Thank you. Any questions? Anybody have? I just wanted to say that I think it is good to at least talk about it, because I know when Act 46 is a little before my time when I started school boarding. But I know I was told by a lot of people that we were extremely lucky here in Weathersfield and how things turned out for us as far as Act 46 went. A lot of other districts didn't get as much say in what happened to them. And the reason why we had as much say as we did in what happened to us then was because people had planned ahead and were planning for what was coming down the road and had something set up. And so it's good to plan for what's coming.
Yeah, well, that honestly was part of what we were thinking. We were trying to be proactive about this and get out our thoughts and feelings of the population, instead of just taking orders from Montpelier. And the other thing that bears some thinking is, if you look at the number of supervisory districts in Vermont, it's pretty obvious that not the entire state did the work that this area did in terms of combining their smaller schools into one SU. We did the work. We did what was needed to combine and reduce the number of bodies. And I was really surprised, because before I looked at that map, I assumed everybody had done it. Everybody had. And then I looked around and I'm like, no, we're kind of the exception. We really, as separate communities, we did the work, and some of it was painful. But it needed to be done. And now the state as a whole, I think, is going to do more catch up to get up to the point where we already are. So.
Okay, so we want to move on to the budget
You guys ready?
information session run through.
All right.
I'm excited. Wow, big attendance.
Well, it's not our most exciting meeting of the year.
No.
They don't want to spoil the surprise for March 1st. That's why they didn't come.
It's like a gender reveal. It's a budget reveal party. Strings.
What are you doing? Come on. It's really good.
Create with Al. Who's Al?
Is this AI?
That's not an L. Sorry, I'm trying to make it an L.
We're gonna lose our 6 viewers. We're gonna lose our 6 viewers with all this.
That's right.
Like, no internet, it's not letting me log in. It's the weather. The impeding storm that we're talking about.
Wires got wet.
Is yours working, Kristen?
No, is yours working?
I have internet, but I don't have
Right,
the presentation now. I do now, but I don't see yours in it.
All right, can I sign into this one?
Yes. This presentation is not presented. Let me just go. Option. And then,
Did we lost one already? Does somebody have a dance review or something? they
I know,
can do?
I have an announcement. Is it the 22nd?
It's the 22nd
Okay, at
at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay, so at 10 a.m. On the 22nd at the Windsor Welcome Center. Anybody who's interested, there's Christine and Bill and Elizabeth Burrows. Anybody else?
Rebecca.
And Rebecca Holcomb are getting together and they're having a little powwow and expression of what might happen to changes in education in Vermont this upcoming year, upcoming session. So they'll let you know if you'd like to discuss with them what could be coming down the pike.
This is February 22nd at what time?
February 22nd, 10
10
a.m.
o'clock at the Welcome Center in Windsor.
Which is conveniently close to Windsor Station.
They don't open till 4.
They don't open until 4. You don't plan on talking that long? 6 hours? Well, luckily Bill will be there.
Yeah, Bill might.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You like it?
This is just, you're not connected.
Yeah, it's just not good. It's so weird.
This is your computer.
See, it's problems with AI already. Shut up, using it.
It's the infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
It's crowded internet.
I have internet,
It's weird.
but you're not, it's not, it's the president of the computer.
Probably shouldn't go by memory.
I did have another question from John.
From John?
Yeah, John asked, and he likes to just mail me like random questions.
Why does this guy breathe?
He'll be better once he's on the
He'll
board.
forget if he doesn't email.
And Megan's in attendance too, so Megan was running.
For this board.
Yeah, it is.
And is it just YouTube or?
I'm up.
You're up?
Mark is not running again. So John and Megan will run for Rebecca's spot. I think that's, I don't know that we have anybody running
No,
again.
because we move up, right? Yeah. Reserves a spot.
John Harrison. He's run,
Previous rep.
so there are 2 one-year spots and 1
He's
3-year
been
spot.
here. Oh, okay, yeah.
Mark
I
is
didn't either,
leaving us.
actually.
He's actually an electrician too, so he might know what about the.
Yeah,
lights
we should maybe,
He's what?
An electrician. Or
I think he's
retired.
retired, but yeah.
Seems fair. I got roped into set building. John gets roped in for electrical service. No, that's maybe not fair.
That was a maybe at the time, right? Yeah.
If necessary.
his other thing that he had was, H54, which is a bill that was introduced to the legislature prohibiting cell phone and other social media in schools.
That's one that's coming up. There's lots, if you're listening,
Uh-huh.
I try to log in when I can. There's a bill the other day that was.
We already have the policy.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
A lot of schools already. have
Closing
that.
all schools that are under 400 students, and that bill's been proposed by.
To like close them?
Yeah, there's a number for elementary, there's a number for high school. I just think,
What do they propose to do with all the students?
I don't know. That would be 3 of our schools, and where would they go? You'd have to build a new school, right? I mean, some of it is, I don't think they're thinking about the geography and the.
If I can chime in on other things that are kicking around out there, the ending of universal school meals, I think is a nightmare and not something we should be engaging in at all. Primarily because it's a tax burden thing. Right now, Vermont is one of the receiving states. Basically, a third of our budget comes from other states. It's from nationally. And that program was it came in astoundingly under budget from what it was supposed to be, what was projected to cost. So not taking advantage of universal school meals and continuing that is basically going to be turning down tax dollars from other states that Congress has already allocated towards us as a receiving state. So feel free to call your local legislator and senator and tell them that we don't want to get rid of universal school meals.
Done. Did that.
Did you say done?
No, did that.
Oh.
All right, we're there.
All right.
All right, now you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right.
Someone left, but we still have 6. I guess somebody came back. Oh, no, Brian joined. We lost him.
Shannon Harris.
I don't know who that is.
I couldn't tell them that.
All right. Do this, cut off, right? So here, that's- A little bit better. All right, it'll be better. We won't cut off the top part.
It's a run through.
All right. So first off, we're going through our articles. Article 1, to approve the reports of the school district officers for the period from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Is that one of the ones that we vote on? Is that a floor vote or Is everything?
Yes, yes, that's all.
Elect the Weathersfield School District officers for the ensuing term by Australian ballot. Article 3, to vote for the Weathersfield School District is authorized to borrow money in anticipation of taxes to meet the requirements of the school district for the ensuing year and to authorize the execution and delivery of notes or orders to the Weathersfield School District by Australian ballot. Article 4, shall the voters of the Weathersfield School District approve the school board to expend $8,891,228, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. The Weathersfield School District estimates that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in per pupil education spending of $15,698.90, which is 15.80% higher than per pupil education spending for the current year. Australian law.
Do you also have the other number?
Yeah, that, by law, we have to put that in
Oh,
this year, that is not a tax rate, that is.
Right,
The tax rate, you'll see.
that's confusing.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
very confusing. It's not.
So we need to be really clear about what
Yeah.
that is.
All right, Article 5, to transact any other business which may properly come before the meeting. All right. Any questions on the articles? Oh, okay. We'll go to the community. We have our school board representative. There's Marley. She told me to, like, she's loving it, so we're good there. Funding sources of funds for our school, local taxes, State of Vermont Education Fund, federal government grants, private grants, St. Nichols, Walmart, anonymous grants, generous donations from teachers, staff, parents, community, and organizations. And then, of course, our volunteers. Meeting student needs. How we meet student and family needs, special education for kids who qualify, IEPs, support for at-risk kids who are not served through IEPs. We are HOPE. Advanced 8th grade math students may access high school algebra. Expanded food program designed to serve better food to more kids. Students eat breakfast and lunch for free. St. Nichols grants, PTO funding, and other grants bring all kinds of extras to the school at no cost to taxpayers. 4 Winds, nature-based curriculum, PAWS, non-school funded program, serves families, shares facilities, high attendance by students, staff, and teachers, team-based activities after school hours for families, volunteer time.
Just on the previous slide, just a correction for the spelling of anonymous, but
Oh,
if we get a chance.
Funding first.
Yeah. The Y is in the wrong spot.
Yep. Thank you, that's why we do this. Thank you, BJ.
Should the font in the meeting house be different because it's hard to read? No, on the meeting house one,
I agree.
because it's on like the roof.
That one?
No,
The
one
meeting
you
house.
just did.
The one you just did.
Meeting students.
The meeting students.
Oh, yeah.
When you click on it, it's right on the,
Oh,
Okay.
it's
yeah.
really hard to read.
Just make that white.
Perfect, I can do that.
Make the box darker.
Or I can move it, or just, yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay. Thank
From
you.
here, yeah, it is hard to read.
Student family engagement. Do I need to read everything for you guys? Or I can just make sure?
Most of us right now.
Do that town challenge.
Town challenge, can you add that on? Oh, you already did?
Well, yeah.
She just taking notes.
BJ's the dumbest run.
And I brought a notepad too, but I'm not taking notes. Anything I'm missing? You guys good?
Looks good.
You guys don't do geography anymore?
in the district.
Yeah,
Okay, I was wondering if the move that would be passed.
State.
okay. Goals.
Can you go back to the other layout? Where I had the, was larger?
It's bigger.
Larger screen.
Larger screen.
No.
It's the corner arrows.
Yeah, thank
There
you.
we go. Is that better?
Yes, I can read it. I got old eyes.
So do I. Here we go.
Yep.
Oh, it's just what it's giving wait time, appropriate wait time for everybody to make sure.
Everyone at home is seeing this, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And what I can do is any updates I do, I can just go ahead and send it to you guys as well. Yeah. We kept driving around, we found a perfect farmhouse to take a picture of. I don't know, I got it. Sorry, just kidding.
Looks like one is good.
It does, it's, you know, it could be.
Yeah.
All right.
Might be Woodstock.
Is that supposed to be like the middle part's supposed to be like the different angles like that?
Yeah, it is. I tried to add a little snaz to it. Here by the time we get to the physical.
They're fine, they just wanna see the number.
Okay. All right,
So drum roll.
oops.
That's fine.
That's really.
That's
There we
tiny.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can enlarge it when we do. So what is nice is this is right from the budget book. What they're seeing there. A little bit important, I can make it bigger. Oh, sorry. You're very patient.
Yeah, see, I don't know why we have to put 15% on the voting thing and it's only 6 point.
Right.
Hopefully they will. rate and the. I was just hearing.
I will say, we had that last year, right?
Yeah.
And then the 10-year tax rate is the one that we added last year, so I'm waiting for that slide. But I'll show it to you. It's still last year's information. I dumped in there as a placeholder. But I like the way this one came out because it showed the longevity of it, where we were at.
Yeah, but now with the new way of figuring out the CLA though, doesn't it mess that graph up?
You're still gonna apply the CLA, so
Okay, so,
it does have an effect.
okay.
I should have known, all right. Should assessment made that. Yeah, we did, right?
Yeah, you gotta
Yep.
do the other side.
Oh, there we go. No, we didn't do that. Yeah, that's right. Can you guys see that okay? I thought it was important to compare to what others within our SU are spending as well. So that's again right from the budget. This is where I want to be on the bottom.
Mhm.
And in red.
And in red, yes, this is the one time I want to be in red. I mean, I like red, but not.
You made Heartland when Larry covered it.
Yeah. But you know, if you're comparing it to our star data, we don't want to be in the red, but here we want to be in the red. So this is the longevity. See where our enrollment is continuing to go up. We did the snapshot of 21, 22 for the first year here, so just to see how it progresses.
250.
That was 21, 22.
So do you have, is it that just from that year, or do you have?
Yeah, that little box just highlights the years that we had to highlight, the way the graph came out, you had to highlight 1 year, so I figured I'd pick the first year right there. And you can see how it's grown over the years since we. Coincidence? I think not, but.
Oh, it's the color.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm like trying to figure.
That's okay, no,
How I'm
that's
reading
good though, but
this.
if you have questions about it, then
Yeah.
maybe that's something that we can
So-
show differently.
Well, I just was thrown off by the 21, 22, so I was like, is this graph showing, I didn't
Yeah,
realize
and
what
it
you were
and it
trying to
continues to
show.
show, it goes
Okay.
up to current right now, so. It just shows again how much we've grown.
Mhm.
And we continue to grow as a school.
So now it says basically 286, is that what you're,
You know, right around there is
Yeah.
our average number here, so we've been going up and see the trend.
It's really strange because yellow is Albert Bridge.
Yeah.
And you look at the top of graph.
Oh.
There it is. Okay, yeah. So once
Yeah,
you
yeah,
zoom
yeah.
out, we actually see
You're
the
like,
Albert Bridge.
yeah, Albert Bridge definitely doesn't have 1,200 kids.
Yeah. Because you're wow, they've really grown.
But our population has remained pretty consistent over time.
Yeah.
And this is always a guesstimate because of, we get new students in throughout the year. And so based on current numbers and what we're projecting for kindergarten, we're at 236 for next year. We've got a rather small 8th grade class that's leaving us. And then gaining, getting more kids in, that we gain and lose.
So if we're looking at graphs with all the numbers of all the students, should we have an additional line down here of students that we're paying tuition for in high school?
I think we should.
Yeah, absolutely.
High school ones in there too?
Yeah.
We have a high school check out. Thought we did.
We have high school
High school
costs, but I don't think we have
We
actual.
had
Students enrolled in high school.
Yeah, I don't think we have a student enrolled in high school one there, so we can add that one on there.
Well, it's just, it makes
No,
a
it-
big difference if you're looking at our per pupil cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can lump them together, you don't necessarily have to separate them out. or you want them separated out so you
I
can
think
see?
separate it
See, that does have the
because of the
number,
cost.
doesn't it have the number of students on this graph?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does on that one?
98. FY '24 total number of students is 98
No, definitely.
in high school.
Yeah.
Number of students, 98.
So, yeah, if we could separate that out, then it will show, you know, what the cost will be.
So then you're saying just high school students is 2,181,000? Yeah, I think that's a good slide to have.
Yep.
About 25% of our costs.
Yeah.
Our budget is high school tuition.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it makes it look like we're,
Which is dropped, because your numbers have dropped a little bit in high school.
okay. But that's good, they should be graduating.
Do we have a big class coming up?
Was that high school number updated from when Larry was here and we were going over the budget?
Yes.
I felt like it was larger in the budget than it is now.
Yeah, that's the most accurate as.
Okay, so we're gonna see the savings from when we were discussing in the budget prior.
There's a
If there were
little
more
bit,
students in that budget.
yeah. And I don't remember the exact number, I can pull the book from the graph from that time.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different.
Where would it be?
So the
I
book
know.
is updated now.
Yeah, the book
Okay,
online is
okay.
updated, that's
Yeah.
constant.
I'm like, wait, where's all this money gone?
Yeah.
Can we go back to the number of students slide, the regulars, the K through 8? Student enrollment, yeah. No, the other one.
Oh, the projected?
Yeah.
Sorry. Let me see something.
So we have a pretty big 8th grade class, so we should expect a large increase in our high school tuition next year.
Yes.
So everybody's aware.
Well, it might balance
For
out, so we'd have to look at what the
27
seniors are that are
Yeah,
graduating.
what's
Usually,
our 12th grade, is it 30?
I think that number's in the budget book. Sarah has one.
Yeah, I have it, I'm sorry, I don't know where to look.
Is this projected for next year or, so you're talking about 27 and 3?
yeah. So she's talking about,
Yeah.
because these
So
are
we
eighth
should
graders
compare
going to high
ourselves
school.
first.
Right now, we're gonna be, next year, we're gonna be paying for 20 high schoolers that are going into
Right.
high school, where next year we'll be paying for 30.
Third, right, okay. Just want to get the
So we can
right
look at that
years
number.
that we're looking at.
Like our 8th grade class that graduated last year was a much larger class.
Yeah.
We had 32 or 33 last year.
Right.
Here we use 4.
I know in the budget book online, there's a high school tuition slide, and up above it has the high school, the numbers. All the high schools and where, how many are going to each school.
Yeah, it doesn't have them broken down by what
By
grade,
grade.
what grade.
Okay.
So I don't know how many are gonna be graduating next year.
We can do that.
But then our numbers all sort of balance out in mid-20s, which is nice. So the school looks more consistent, we don't have these highs and lows that we have.
Thanks.
Budget goals. All right, and then just questions. I was gonna catch all your cell phone numbers on next year.
Thank you. Really bright, bold, is in red. I can share, just, I think it's an appropriate time. So this afternoon, Larry,
Did you want me to quit sharing? so you can share
no,
that?
it's just
Oh,
one side.
okay.
So,
that's not
he got some information from the state. It's not a done deal, so I can just say that out loud to start with. But there's a presentation in the House Ways and Means and Finance committees this afternoon, which included the $77.2 million one-time general fund transfer that the governor's been talking about, which would adjust the yield up, which is good. And if it is adopted and signed, it's in committee right now, so it's not a done deal, your tax rate would go down to 8.7% instead of 10.2%. So, good news, but again, not a done deal yet. So.
Good news for this year, but not good news for next year, right?
Right,
Because
anytime you're.
because you're just moving money from one
So
year
it's
to a
from
different
a
year.
fund balance, like, plus that they have?
Which isn't necessarily probably a great thing to do after we
Could find out
hopefully
tax
passed
rate.
our budget.
Yeah, so when is this happening? The day after March?
Surplus to
Well,
use,
you know, it could
27,
get
I guess.
submitted prior to the budget hearing. Here. It doesn't change what people are voting on, but we still know. Right? It's not actually 10.2%, it's at 0.7%.
So we could add that in there.
If it gets approved before that, yeah.
Yes. 23 to 24 graduating,
Oh, okay. So,
This year or next year, BJ?
actually both, ironically.
yeah, same,
Yeah,
That's good.
so we'll have 6, so overall we'll have 6 more students in high school. So that's almost, it's like around $100,000, a little over $100,000 for the budget for next year. So, yeah, yeah. So just so we're all prepared.
Yeah.
People move in and out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changes.
Yes, yeah. Do you have anything else, Brian? Did you wanna, I just wanted to let, Sarah know about that you found, so you did find some Four Winds?
Yes,
Funding?
we have funding for 4 Winds. So we had some anonymous grants or donations from before, so we'll be able to use that for next year. So 4 Winds definitely saved and taken care of. And then we'll continue to look for grants for homework and some of the other areas, just to be able to figure out how we can make sure those programs that are so important in our school continue. So,
Did you want to highlight in your presentation that you've already cut from the budget? Do you think that's important
I
for the taxpayers to know?
I took that out because we did have the one slide, I looked back from last year's presentation where we did do some more major cuts. I took that out just so right now that we.
Can you have that ready in case that's part of the questions that
Yes,
come up?
I can have that ready. I can have a little flip in there and say, oh, by the way, this is what we did cut.
Uh-huh. What else? As far as Four Winds goes, now, something that's important to me, like for going forward and keeping this as a sustainable thing that we can keep having, is trying to find another school to share the burden with us, at least one other school, if we could get more than that, like maybe if we wanna contact, I don't know, some other local elementary schools that might be interested in doing it.
Yeah.
Community Island used to have it.
Yeah, I mean, I could email the woman from the Science Institute and ask her what other schools in our area. The problem is, I don't think that there's any super local schools that, I mean, she's coming all the way from.
Yeah, well, even if
The
we,
institute,
if
but-
maybe we could, go to these other schools and present it, or, do like, I know like my son's robotics club, like they go like to certain days at the school and they can go and, talk to the kids and see if they'd be interested in it. And I don't know if schools would want us doing that, but at least maybe we could present at their board meetings, maybe at what Four Winds is and.
Good, I think it's important that they're within driving distance. I mean, the trainings happen monthly, so you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
yeah, so,
Volunteers.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth a look.
Like when Heartland was doing it, we were in collaboration, so like, that's why it came at a discount, was because the educator would come just one day and
Yeah.
she would teach both
Both
schools.
Yeah.
So, it would have to be with fairly close by, yeah.
Yeah, so I just think if that's something we can just kind of
Yeah.
keep in mind and try to get worked out, maybe this spring.
I can,
Yeah.
I mean, I could ask them
Yeah.
who else in the area might be doing it, but they didn't really offer that when Heartland had dropped out, so. I mean, they didn't say like, oh, you have
Partner with.
you have a town like 3 towns away that is doing it too. Nobody really said that, so.
I mean, with Albert Bridge maybe, but they kind of have their own thing, right? They sort of have their own outdoor.
Do a lot of outdoor work. I don't know if they do 4 Winds. I could certainly I'll ask Jennifer.
Okay. Or Windsor Elementary, or.
Actually, I talked to a 5th grade science teacher and she was interested.
They should.
Yeah, so it would be the funding part of it that we don't know about, and if they, if their PTO could fund it, or how would they fund it too.
Mhm.
Ideally, it comes down to cost sharing.
Yeah, well, if they wanted to if they wanted to try it out for this coming year, if we already have funding for it, we could offer them to try it out for free, since we have the funding
The
for it.
problem, unfortunately, it's not just funding, it's the volunteers.
Yeah, well, yeah, they'd have to come up with
I
their own
mean,
volunteer,
that
of course.
sadly was Heartland's
Problem.
issue, is that you know, we were 15, 17 volunteers strong and they had 2.
Yeah.
And they were losing 1 and it was the secretary that was basically it. And you can't teach K through 5 with 1 volunteer. So, I mean, that's where the program is strong. So that was my argument on it. And it's all run by volunteers. So we're already doing the work. So.
It's an awesome program.
So the funding specifically for the educator to get to.
Correct,
So there's-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we could offer to, like, if she thinks she can get enough volunteers together, yeah, they can come to the trainings here and try it out for next year for free, and then the following year, it would be a sharing thing.
What school was that, PJ?
Windsor was
Patty. Oh, Patty.
Okay, so, let's go to setting the next agenda, which is, as Brian already told us, March 11th at 6:30. The main thing to do at that meeting is reorganization. And then, maybe a little budget debrief.
We'll have some students present about Camp Reload as well. We got literacy night on the 6th.
And a student presentation. Anything else that anybody had in particular for March?
Should I ask Christine about an executive session for ICE?
We are having an executive session today,
We
so,
are.
yeah. Okay, if anybody thinks of anything else between now and like about a week before our next meeting, let me know. Get it added to the agenda. But for now, that's probably good. I know reorganization takes up a bit of time. So Christine did mention that we do have a need for executive session.
Just a quick one.
Just a quick one, and what's the reasoning?
It is under, 1 VSA 313F, which is attorney-client information sharing.
Okay,
Communications, yeah.
all right, I'll take a motion to go into executive session if not, Becky?
Oh, I just wanted to know I couldn't understand what Christine said the executive session was for.
It is for 1 VSA 313F, which is confidential attorney-client communications.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Becky. So if nobody else has anything before we go to executive session, I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Okay, Vincent made the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. So we will be entering executive session at 8:12.